All right, let's talk about why female presenting ADHD is so underdiagnosed. Well, number one, for the longest time, ADHD was considered a disorder of childhood primarily in males, period. That was who was studied. Girls were not studied. If a woman got diagnosed or a girl got diagnosed with ADHD prior to 1994, that was a therapist that was on freaking point. And even today, female presentation is highly missed. And the reason for that is female presentation tends to be more internalized, while male presentation tends to be more externalized. Young boys will exhibit physical behaviors, aggressive behaviors, whereas the externalized behaviors of a female might be verbal aggression or emotional breakdowns, being highly emotional, being very tearful, lashing out, things like that. Male presentation is going to be things like being very messy, being very sloppy, being very careless, whereas female presentation tends to be more perfectionist oriented. It's, again, a very internalized thing. It'll present as anxiety, present as depression. You'll see a young woman taking a lot more time to do her homework and not asking for help, whereas boys will externalize, this is stupid, this is hard, I can't do it. Girls will blame themselves. I just need to try harder. And as we progress, boys will continue to externalize things, being more loud and being more violent, being more disruptive. Women have a more higher tendency of engaging in self-harming behavior. In fact, women with ADHD have a higher likelihood of self-harming and of trying to unalive themselves than males do by almost 50%. And that's before the age of 18. Women also have a higher likelihood of being hypersexual and engaging in very negative and harmful relationships. Relationships where they are being emotionally, physically abused. Because you're seeing that anxiety, that depression, that low self-esteem. There'll be a lot more difficulty with focus. They'll tend to be more helpful as opposed to class clown. Like boys will present as a class clown, girls will tend to be the absolute biggest teachers and classmate helper because they're looking for any reason to get out of their seat and to engage in verbal activity. The hyperactivity in women tends to present more in talking than it does in physical action. You might see more finger picking instead of like big fidget. Again, that low-key picking dermatillomania type stuff instead of the high energy fidgeting that we tend to see as characteristic in male presenting ADHD. And girls that present as tomboys, well, tomboys, you don't really like that term. Girls that like to climb trees, run around, jump, get muddy, get dirty. Again, they tend to be shamed and say that's not very ladylike because society's... So in short, more internalized versus externalized behaviors.